Hello, I'm Thomas. I'm a photographer and I do my own retouching. So, over the years, I have discovered several techniques to add to my retouching or not. Generally, YouTube is a vast source of this kind of information. You will find anything you need. Um, so it's good you're here. Today we're going to be discussing mostly and do some retouching as well um, about high-end photography retouching. But to do high-end retouching, you also need high-end photography. And how to actually define high-end photography? By what means? I think that first of all, you need to be clear about your goals in photography, and it's your first step towards performing in a high level. Uh, Usually, performing in a high level means that you can first of all deliver large prints of your photos. So you have to be working into a direction to get the largest print possible. There are many categories and many different ways to do this. It's the best, of course, is to work with medium format cameras or large format and be retouching those files like the phase ones, the Hasselblads, all these kind of stuff. But if you're like in a lower budget, what do you do? How do you really overcome all this difficulty? Large prints, the photography that it takes to create large prints doesn't come cheap. Personally, I'm a medium level budget type of photography. I don't have the money to afford such a big camera, but I could afford an Nikon D810. And I was looking for the ways to be able and make the largest prints possible out of my portraits. So I began with an Nikon D810. It was a good first step. It didn't come too short compared to an older medium format camera. Of course, now it does, but it can do pretty well and can deliver large prints with its 36 megapixel sensor. Full format, of course. And I was also looking to buy a very good lens for this camera, the sharpest one I could get actually, and that was the Sigma 85mm 1.4 Art series. So this image we are going to be working today is shot in this default setup. Of course, I needed a very good light on my image, and I do not have my own lighting system. Well, I do, but I don't use it anymore. I have actually listed somewhere else, and I use my money to actually rent a studio whenever I need. So the studio I'm renting now uses a Profoto lighting system, and I also rent another studio that uses a Broncolor lighting system. So I have high-end lighting in my disposal right now, and I'm very happy with it. And I don't really intend to buy it. I prefer to just rent it whenever I need. It keeps me more versatile in my budgets. So, what about these portraits? Let's start and let's just evaluate it for a little bit. We can see that, of course, the image, first of all, is in focus. This is the first and foremost to get. We have a very clear image here, very good detail, skin texture everywhere, a perfectly fine image to start with. I never start to retouch an image if the focus isn't accurate or if my settings aren't the ones to accompany a very large print, because we're talking about high-end retouching. So we can start with some, we immediately jump into Adobe Camera Raw, and we can just give these settings, this image some settings to actually appear better. It's slightly underexposed, as I can see, so I'm going to bring it, just looking at the histogram, I'm going to bring it where I feel it to be the most right. And it's actually here with plus 45, the highlights, it's mostly the highlights control that is interesting to me right now, because they are stronger and easily to get wrong. So maybe 060 is good, and I really like a flat start without a lot of contrast. So I will just give a little bit of knots in the shadows and the blacks. I will not mess with the whites, although I can see that they are affecting the shadows. Sorry for that. Adobe Camera Raw can get glitchy. How about the highlights? No more highlights. So I saw that here, if I could put some more whites on the darkest side of your face, it could actually work for the best. So let's just try like an adjustment brush here. Nothing else, just a little bit of whites. Whoa. No, I don't want to see the mask. Yeah. So what about some whites here? Yes, they could come in handy. Shadows, it's okay, and here as well. Well, retouching is about one thing. It's about getting a smooth transition of light to the face. I can repeat that. Retouching is for one thing, to get a smooth transition of light on the face. And a beautiful face is smooth, and all the light falls smoothly on it. This doesn't create harsh shadows under soft light, and it has to appear very smooth, and the smoother the younger, because beauty is also like a synonym to youth. We don't have to make her younger, but we do have to make her smoother. However, we want to keep all the detail of your face, all the texture, because good photography is about fine detail as well. So our goal is to give her a smooth transition of light to her face, but keep all the detail. And this is primarily a frequency separation workflow. It's not the first time you will see one, but we are going to using. Sorry about my tangle here. We are going to be using a new technique called advanced texture cleanup. Yep, that I learned recently, and it's frequency separation, but with a couple of differences. So let's jump in Photoshop and start all the procedure. I think everything is fine here. I did not do any white balance actions yet. I will just leave it for the end. And also I'm working on a calibrated screen, of course, so I can be the master of my own color. Okay, so there is a little bit of maybe I can just jump inside some channel mixer or selective color to just get some things right. How about her face? Let's play around with this one. It's a little bit red, so it could use a little bit of cyan in the reds. Magenta. I am a fan of, it's like a personal taste here. You can be a fan of magenta in the face or not. Actually, I don't mind it just a little bit. And about cold and warm, I can tend to the side of a little bit warmer if it's for commercial portraits, but colder if it's for more artistic portraits or fashion photography maybe. So since this is a beauty image and mostly like fashion photography, I could actually kick these knots a little bit to the yellow, to reducing the yellow out of the red channel. So what did we get? We got a slight little bit of colder image. The difference is hardly noticeable, I think, but we will stick with it. Maybe I will just kick it a little bit to the greens too. And yep. Okay, I think I have to go to the neutrals and perform some adjustments here as well. And I want this to be just a color channel. I also just turn the blending mode to color, so will not mess with our luminosity. Okay, so where are we? We just took the big redness out of your face. I think we're progressing in a good level. So let's just kick it up a bit, and I will just save that layer. I will not come back to this. I usually merge all my layers so that I can keep my program light, and so it doesn't start to drag me down. I'm not really a history person. I just want a fast workflow, and this is the most important to me. What do we have? First of course is to just observe the image. I will just grab my pen and make some notes for you to see what I'm looking. I noticed that there is a little bit of hair in her face here, some small blemishes here and here. I'm not a fan of fixing stray hair, so I say it, but I never fix it, because my purpose and my idea of high-end retouching is natural retouching. This image needs to appear like nothing has been done to it, but it has to be also perfect. So finding the balance between these two it can take a lot of practice and a lot of experience when you look at an image. I can see that hair contouring is actually 1, 2, 3 colors. So there is like a transition of colors here, and also the contouring came all the way to the mouth, and I'm not sure I like this area so much. So I would probably perform some low frequency action. After that, I noticed that she has some freckles and a tan on her nose, while here it got a very good light. This part of her nose is a little bit more tanned by the sun, and for like a pure beauty shot I would like that tan to go away, so it's frequency separation here again. A little bit of dyschromia here all the way to this transition can actually give us something smoother, but these shadows I really like here. I wouldn't mess with them. And the texture is in fine levels. I will probably enhance it with some sharpening and other procedures. Everything else I really like. So okay, let's open our frequency separation action. It's actually, I will just do it manually now and not like an action, but 1, 2, you just do 2 copies. This is like your low copy, and this is like your high copy, and you have to apply image of the high copy to your low copy. But first, before you do that, you have to give a blur to your low copy. So the old way was to just apply like a Gaussian blur filter, like with a value of 3. What you wanted was just to have a little bit of you just wanted to lose this fine detail. Another way was to the other way is to use the medium filter, because the medium filter is supposed to be handling the edges better. So how about a medium filter that I will just lose this fine detail, maybe 5 or maybe 6. I think 6 is alright. So we're using a medium filter as our low frequency, and we're going to apply our high frequency to the low. So we need to target the low layer. The blending mode is subtract to 1.8. You see we get this grayscale image with fine detail only. So if we blend it with linear light, we're going to get a separation of frequencies. So this is our high frequency, our low frequency in the bottom, and high frequency on the top. So let's just start working on the frequency and see where it gets us. Now there are some new tools in Photoshop in 2018, and the most important for this is the mixer brush tool. The mixer brush tool actually just gives you, I will just make a low copy to show you. The mixer brush tool doesn't have like a color of its own, but mostly it blends the colors that it touches. It's like a let's say a smudge tool, but it's more dynamic than that. And because we are working on the low frequency, all the fine detail of course is preserved. And we get smooth transitions. I wanted this to go away as much as possible. Get a smoother transition here, and also here. But we will come back again with some dodging and burning here to add the highlight. This was a symmetrical lighting setup. And this is going away nicely, without causing like anything too destructive. Let's get a smoother transition here. What I liked about the mixer brush is that it makes it so easy, and it makes my workflow so much faster. I don't have to sample colors anymore. I can just sample on the fly. And here it's a little bit more gray. Smoother transitions everywhere. No, I didn't really like this. We'll do it again. So we got a very smooth transition of light to your face. Let's see the before and after. And that was just a few minutes. And I think I'm very, very happy with it. We immediately also fixed the expression a little bit. So it's a good first step. Let's keep it for now. Well, with the traditional frequency separation, I would just open a layer and I would just use a normal brush in 5% opacity to just make this like sample from here and do it here, and sample from here to go here and from here to go here. But I can use like a normal brush to just like make some dodging and burning in the low frequency. So let's just select like a white color to do some dodging. And I will just try to add a highlight here. In soft light mode, of course. And how about another layer? With a smaller brush to make it a little bit finer. And how about, you know, just experimenting a little bit, you know, because there are pores here and these are capturing highlights, you know, there are like small pores in the body and they can also capture highlights, so why not create a few to just make it more realistic. And this is the here is the part where my retouching starts being different than the other tutorials that you see. I'm actually trying to predict how the light would naturally fall on the skin. And the little curves it would find to reflect back to the camera. So we did get a small highlight there. I will just leave it. It's actually like a painter's job to get right. Okay. So we're done. We're already in a good level. Even these blemishes don't bother me so much anymore, but I will be removing them. Okay, let's just brighten up the eyes, do the basic stuff now. No, this is too harsh, maybe 15%. Okay, maybe a little bit of blur and be done with that as well. And some more shine in the eye, just like this. And I think the eyes are in a good place. Remember, we always want to keep it natural and not like do anything like that will be too much on it. So I think that's this is ready. Let's do some basic touch-up and cleanup and move on. Couple of blemishes here and there. Actually, I'm not going to remove all the details. I like keeping it natural. This piece of hair here is too stray, so I'm going to remove it. It's very strange to me because I usually work with music, and now I get a lot of inspiration and I get in a great mood by listening to music, retouching. But now for the video I really cannot. There are a couple of blemishes here. But as you can see, I am keeping the freckles and I will actually add more of them. So I will just merge all this. Where are we? Better color, better, more even transition of light to the face. And as you can see, I just go at some key spots and I'm very detailed for what I want to fix, and I don't do anything global to the image. I don't like global solutions because they are like they are just easier job. They create I have been used to it, to easy jobs, to looking at them. I'm totally bored of them. When me as a photographer, I really want to dive in the image, get all of its detail back. I don't know if you understand me, but easy solutions for images are cheap solutions, and I'm not cheap at what I do. Let's just clean this up as well. I can be fast, but never cheap. The best compliment I ever got about my photographer was really long time ago. Someone just came to me and said, "Thomas, I think your photography looks expensive," and it was like the best thing I've heard. And ever since, I always try to keep up to that compliment. So this is okay. Now, texture. Texture is my favorite part, and it's the most creative part of retouching. This image, because of the low frequency, we have actually taken a lot of information out of it. So my idea is the information we took out, we have to put back in, but in our own way. And all the low frequency that we took out, we have to put back, but in a beautiful way. And that way came to me as an idea maybe 1.5 to 2 years ago, that I started retouching like this. And it was actually about let's say spatial brushes, and it's actually, the idea came from a freckles brush. I started adding freckles to the faces manually, but I found a lot of more applications for this, since freckles was a way to also add fine detail to a face. I mean, we were adding some noise to compensate for this, but noise is global. I don't want a global solution, but freckles can actually go and create something like a crusty skin. So my nickname for this method is Crust. I add crust to the face by using a freckles brush. Let's see what I mean. I will just pick my brush and go down. I have created, this was actually a freckles brush by Captain Bounty in DeviantArt. It was just the first one I got, but it wasn't really correct. It didn't really work correctly, so I made some modifications to it, and this is the final one I use. I will probably give it down to the comments, so make sure you check. Make a new layer, and I just start painting. Whoa, this is huge, isn't it? Okay, how about this? Okay, so this is a lot of detailed job. It's a very detailed job, and it will take some time. So let's see how it works. I imagine like freckles coming from her face, falling down to her cheekbones, bigger and smaller, like freckles naturally really fall on the face. I'm not trying to create freckles, however, I'm just trying to create skin texture. But I do follow the paths that freckles go. It's a beautiful method, I think. You can be a little bit random with it. It doesn't matter, because this is, as I said, it's a very patient job and very finely detailed. So if we put this in soft light mode, we can see that it applies stronger or weaker at different places, and it does have to, it is dependent to how dark is the skin under it. So I will probably just mind the highlights for now, and I will just put it somewhere that is like correct for the highlights, and I will just mask it out a little bit from from the darks, from the shadows. As you can see, I'm still using the freckles brush to mask it out. Wherever I can see it's too strong, I just use the freckles brush again. So it's like freckles on freckles. My purpose again is not to create freckles, it's to create texture. So this is our first layer. Let's go for the second one. We can make like a bigger pass. We soft light it again, and we just make it appear just a little bit. 8% is good. And then we are going to make a different one for the shadow area here. And this has to be like 4 or 5 maybe. As you can see, it's a very finely detailed job. Again, our purpose is not to actually add freckles, but it's to add a more natural kind of noise for her face. If it looks too much like freckles, I will probably get it down. So how about getting like even finer here? We can be fine here. And I do remember that we had a little bit of a shadow here, and also here. And now it immediately got even more hydrated, let's say. It's a much more alive skin, much more interesting stuff is going on in it. You know, you can just keep going on and it will always reward you. This method is my favorite, adding texture. So let's see where we are. We are from here to here. And because it looks too much like freckles, I can just place it like in a spot where the skin gets a little bit dirtier, but it gets a lot more natural, like you would see it on a real day. It gets a little bit more crusty, let's say, since this is the nickname of the technique, crust. I will just leave it to 80% for now, even if it looks a little bit like freckles. She has freckles anyway. So, how else can you actually can you use crust? You can use the white version of crust, and I mean her lips are a little bit, you know, not in a good shape. So I can just like instead of using like a smooth brush, like a like a soft light brush upon them and make them glossy, I can just make a glossy crust in the places that I don't like. this is actually 1. Okay, this needs to go away, of course. One layer is this. It already started to show. And it immediately gives so much fine detail on the lips by hiding, and also hiding the part of the lips we don't really like. We can do something similar here. So we got her lips like really sugary now. Maybe a little bit drier too. But it certainly got crustier. Okay, I will just go do some healing brush adjustments here because I don't really like this part. Seems like she has eaten some kind of sugar, I think. It's funny. But it gives a lot of fine detail for the eye to be drawn to. Just checking the time. We are already 36 minutes inside this tutorial. So I think I'm in an okay place for now with this portrait. I will just merge everything, see where I am. There is stuff to be done here with some shadows here. I'm not satisfied with what happens here. The rest of the face is pretty fine, I think. Okay, so let's just do like a classic frequency separation action with a normal brush to apply some makeup here. No, this is not the brush. We're still on the. Let's see. What? Too strong. We just need to expand this a little bit. Make a smoother transition. What if we just added some like makeup here? Would I like it? Whenever I am like really skeptical about if I do something or not, if I don't know, I just make the image small. That's my go-to point, because if an image looks good small in the thumbnail, it can really look better when it gets bigger. I think I prefer it like this. Yep, I'm keeping my work. Maybe to not 100%, but maybe here. So, this is it for now. You just saw my basic workflow when it comes to portrait retouching. I hope it helps you. I'm not very detailed because this tutorial is not meant for beginners. I really hope that professionals and advanced users will see this, but even if you are a beginner and just watch this, I think you should try some stuff of yourself, whatever you can understand. It's like a good direction to go with your portraits. So that's all. Good luck, take care, and bye bye.